Good morning, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Birchard again. And even though I've already told you a story about the dinosaurs, since this is Easter week, I'd like to read you a story about the story of Easter. This book is by Fiona Boone and is illustrated by Laura Eady. Jesus came to earth to live life as a man. He was one of us, a part of God's great plan. He taught us the truth and what God's love meant. Many people followed him everywhere he went. So let me show you the pictures. Yes, there's Jesus and all the people following him. One day on a donkey, he entered a great town. His followers all cheered, but some men wore a frown. These men hated Jesus and all that he had done. They were cross when Jesus said he was God's own son. This past Sunday was a special day called Palm Sunday when Jesus came into Jerusalem for the last time, and he rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. And here's a picture. Jesus shared a supper with all his closest friends. He knew his time on earth was coming to an end. So remember all his helpers. He had 12 helpers, and this was the last time he was going to have supper with him. You may have heard that this is called the Last Supper. We celebrate it this Thursday, and this is what we do at church when we celebrate communion, when we take bread and wine or apple juice. This is why we do that, because it's when Jesus celebrated his last meal with his friends. He went into a garden late that night to pray. Desperate, he said, "Father, is this the only way?" So Jesus knew what was going to happen, and so he went into a garden to pray, and look at his friends there under the tree. What are they doing? They're sleeping. They couldn't stay awake while Jesus prayed. They were supposed to be praying with Jesus, but they couldn't help it, and they fell asleep. The men who hated Jesus found him praying there. They took him to be judged, even though it was not fair. So they arrested Jesus and took him to jail. And he did not do anything wrong, but they still took him to jail. They asked Jesus questions for a very long time. They could not find him guilty of a single crime. When the ruler called Pilate wished to set Jesus free, many in the crowd shouted, "Hang him on a tree!" Now that wasn't fair. Look at all those people. Yes, they didn't want Jesus. They were afraid of Jesus, and so look what they did. They told the ruler to hang him on a tree. And you may have heard the word crucify. That's what the word means. Hang him on a tree. Jesus was not guilty, but he was put on a cross, just as God had told him. His life must be lost. So when Jesus was hung on a cross, he was hung between two robbers. They were put on a cross to die also. And do you know why Jesus was put on the cross? Because he died for all the wrong things that we do. And those wrong things are called sins. And so he's put on the tree to do that, so that one day that we could live with him in heaven. Suddenly the sky went dark, and everyone was scared. 3 hours later, Jesus died, and all his friends despaired. Some men took his body and put it in a cave. They rolled a stone across to make a sealed grave. Okay, in Jesus' time, they didn't bury people after they died. They actually put them in caves, but they put this big rock over there, and 2 soldiers guarded that grave where Jesus was. That was going to be this Friday. It's called Good Friday. On the third day, to everyone's surprise, the stone had moved away and Jesus was alive. So remember, Jesus died on Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days. When they came to look for Jesus, the stone had been rolled away and he was alive. And all this was God's plan, that Jesus had to die to pay the price for sin, for all our wrongs and lies. And so because of Jesus, when our lives are through, we can live in heaven if we trust and love him too. So that's why we celebrate Sunday, because he came alive again. The end. So I want to show you something that will help you remember this story, and it's with Easter eggs, plastic Easter eggs. So the first Easter egg that I have, and I have a number 1 on it, let me show you what's in it. Can you see? Let me take it out. It's a piece of bread. This helps you remember that Jesus had his last supper with his friends before he died. And on the next day was Friday. And that was the day that they took him and they put him in a cross. And I don't know if you can see my little cross there. There's my little cross. So he died on the cross on Friday. And when they put him in the grave, they wrapped him in a lot of cloths. That's how they buried people back in Jesus' time. So my next egg, which is number 3, when I open it up, it's a piece of cloth to remind us that when they put Jesus in the grave, that they wrapped him in cloths. The next one is number 4. And this is to help us remind it, after they put him in the grave, what did they put in front of it? That's right, a rock. So there's a rock in my egg, and that helps us remember they put a big stone in front of the cave, or they called it a tomb. The next one is number 5. Remember what happened? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when they went back to see what happened to Jesus, the stone was rolled away. Was there anybody in the cave? No, the egg is empty because Jesus was alive. And my next egg, is number 6. So we know that Jesus is alive, and that's a sweet surprise of Easter. So I put candy in here to remember our sweet surprise. These are jelly beans. So this helps you to remember the story of Easter. Have a blessed Easter. Bye, boys and girls. Till next time.